how a classic bar band gets a dream gig to do soundtrack music. I'm John Beaudin. This is Rock History Music. It's part two of our interview with John Cafferty of John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band. Remember the early 80s? Eddie and the Cruisers? They did music for the Sly Stallone films Cobra and Rocky IV. And of course the hits right here on The Dark Side. Tough All Over, CITY, Voice of American Sons, and Hearts on Fire. Here's John Cafferty. You guys were playing, at the time of Eddie and the Cruisers, were you guys had, was it a lot of college? Because they were looking for a specific sound. I remember Dion and the Belmonts, Springsteen, they were looking for, I forget who the other one was, the Doors. They were looking for something, an amalgamation of all those things. And as the wiki page says, and correct me, says, the guy just says, well, I know exactly who you need. And did it go down like that? Or I know he had seen, was he the same guy who had seen you a year before? Because you told in a story once that someone had come and seen you, and then a year later or whatever it was, he comes back and says, hey, Eddie and the Cruisers movie, blah, blah, blah. How did that go down?
Well, as legend has it, and you just never know. But as legend has it, the guy who was walking down the street, he was walking down with Bleecker Street. And his name was Kenny Vance. And when he was a kid, he was in a band called Jay and the Americans. And Jay and the American, great band, New York City, Brooklyn band. And what's significant about those guys was, they were part of the beginnings of it all. I mean, Kenny and his buddies, they were like, singing in the subways. They were like doo-wop guys singing in the subways. And when they got signed, they were produced by Lieber and Stoller. I mean, Lieber and Stoller, for those of you who know your rock and roll history a little bit, I mean, they worked with Elvis Presley, the Drifters, Phil Spector. I mean, they were part of that whole brill building experience, where all the wonderful songwriters came out of, and all those great pop songs of the 50s and 60s. And Kenny was a part of all of that. Kenny opened for the Beatles. Kenny played with the Rolling Stones. So he was right there. He was on Ed Sullivan, Shindig, Hullabaloo. I mean, all of it. And wonderful stories. You're going to have to talk to him one of these days. And he was walking down the street, and he heard the sound of our band coming out of the basement. We were playing at the Bitter End. It's a really small club down in the basement. It's where Bob Dylan used to play, and Say No More. And you heard the sound of the band with the saxophone and the piano and the big beat, the echo on the voice and all of that. And you said, hey, what's this? This sounds good. Came in, sat down, watched us play. Never met him, never even knew he was there. But I knew that he left with a smile on his face, because like almost a couple of years later, he called us up with a movie script for Eddie and the Cruisers. Kenny had done, in addition to his career as a music artist, he was also got involved with films. He made a film called American Hot Wax, which was the story of Alan Freed, which is an incredible movie. You got to see that.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Kenny recreated those 50s Alan Freed shows in Brooklyn. I mean, just incredible. And one of the great scenes in rock and roll cinema, where they're in the recording studio and the producer comes over, the song's feeling a little flat, and he says, it needs something. We need something. He goes, give me $5 and a domby doobie. Right. And Kenny walks up to the microphone and goes, dum, 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 and he sings Del Vikings Come Go With Me. Right. And all of a sudden, everybody starts dancing. The sax player starts wailing. I mean, it's just an incredible scene. In fact, we saw it in a movie theater long before I knew Kenny. And we were on the road and saw it on a Saturday afternoon and Saturday night. We were doing the same thing on stage. They'd come go with me because I just thought it was so magical.
The greatest hits package. So tell me about that.
Right now on either Amazon or any of the services that sell CDs. And they can also go on iconoclassicrecords.com, Iconoclassic. But we're very excited, and it's a great picture of who our band has been over the years. It focuses on our whole recording career, and the highlights, and also some of the other recordings that we made that maybe didn't see the light of day, or as much light as we would have liked. It's all part of it, and doesn't emphasize one over the other, because we found over the years that some of the really good songs that we play, they weren't singles. They weren't songs that got radio exposure. But when people listen to the records or they come out to the shows, I mean, they have some meaning. So it's we're so thrilled to have it out. To be honest with you, we have sort of a cloudy history with record companies and stuff. Can't say good or bad. It's just cloudy.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that. We're going to have more parts of this interview coming up. If you want to join our Patreon, you'll have early access to the entire interview, all the snippets, and even some extra stuff. If you want to pick up John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band's brand new greatest hits, there's a link at the very top of the description. Make sure you share our videos. We love it when you share them on social media. And remember, we read all the comments. Subscribe to our video and like our videos as well. And the 2 Ps, remember, join our Patreon as mentioned, or if you want to make a donation to the channel, there's a PayPal link at the very top of the description as well. I'm John Beaudin. Take good care of yourself. This is Rock History Music.